By the way, that's on like 3
days. Are you really beating Taylor Swift, by the way?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. The J6 is beating Taylor Swift. It's Donald Trump and the J6 prisoners.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
On iTunes and on Amazon
wow.
and on Billboard, which is the big deal. #1, Donald Trump. So now I feel like Elvis because now we've done The Apprentice. That was a great success. We did. Now I've done a recording or whatever you call it. But no, it was #1. And you know what that is? That's a tribute to the fact that people feel the J6 people have been very unfairly treated.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, joined by Harry Dunn, Democrat who is running for Maryland's 3rd Congressional District, formerly with the United States Capitol Police. You were on duty on January 6th during the insurrection, and now you will be seeking the 3rd Congressional District seat that John Sarbanes is leaving. The primary is coming up in May. Welcome to the show, and you've been on the podcast before, and you've talked with us about your experience during the insurrection. So it's great to have you back, Harry.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Good to be with you.
Harry, when you watch a clip like that Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, who would be, especially those in Congress, who could potentially be your colleagues if you prevail in this upcoming election, they are singing songs and making musicals with the J6 insurrectionists, and some of the most dangerous rioters are part of a band that now sings songs with members of Congress and Donald Trump. Like, what is going on, and could you ever even contemplate that? And from your perspective, being on duty, being law enforcement on that day, I mean, what's your response to that?
Yeah, that clip is nuts, man. But it's typical Donald Trump rhetoric. He's all about himself. He's all about ratings and praise, and he wants to surround himself with people that will do his bidding, that will sing his praise. He's the most self-serving individual that I have ever seen. He just cares about himself, and it's all about ratings. He's bragged about beating Taylor Swift and top to the charts on billboards. He goes back to mention The Apprentice. He just can't stop praising himself enough. And it's really unfortunate that people can't see through that. That's why he's so content on, intent, surrounding himself with people that will do nothing but sing his praise. I mean, it's ridiculous, but we've seen it for how long now? So this is nothing new to Donald Trump.
Yeah, but one of the things that I think is, I wouldn't say new, but certainly a trend, though, are even the so-called moderates who you'd be working with if you're elected. People like Elise Stefanik, who ran as a moderate, as someone who was a pragmatist, someone who was a problem solver. They've all turned full MAGA, and they just parrot his language out of the desire for pure power, willing to throw away our democracy. I mean, look, this was Elise Stefanik over 2 weekends ago on Meet the Press. Watch what she has to say. Here, play this clip.
To this key question, do you still think it was a tragic day? Do you think that the people who stormed the Capitol should be held responsible to the full extent of the law?
I have concerns about the treatment of January 6 hostages. I have concerns. We have a role in Congress of oversight over our treatments of prisoners. And I believe that we're seeing the weaponization of the federal government against not just President Trump, but we're seeing it against conservatives. We're seeing it against Catholics. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to serve on the Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Government.
So what would you say to Elise Stefanik? Let's say you're elected, you become a member of Congress, you'll be in these committee hearings. She's there. She says things like that. You were there that day. You're law enforcement. What do you say? What do you say to her when she says something like that? Like, from your experience?
She's exactly what Donald Trump wants. Somebody who will repeat the exact same thing that he says. Those guys, everybody, they're not hostages. Give me a break. And I am glad that she did bring up the intention, the desire to want to bring about change in the criminal justice system. marginalized communities, people of color, urban communities have been screaming at the top of their lungs for the longest time for prison reform. But I guess it only matters once it affects people that identify with their agenda, the MAGA agenda, that is. But it's no surprise. I mean, look at what happened on the night of January 6th. After that night, when they went back on the floor, Kevin McCarthy, Steve Scalise, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, they all rebuffed Donald Trump, and they said they were done with him. They're finished. They wiped their hands. They blamed him for that day. And every single one of them has turned around full 360 and, are back to, I've heard this term. It's funny, but it's sad, the kiss the ring moment. And it's really unfortunate that those individuals, it's not a nice way to say it. They don't have any backbone to stand up for what they knew was right.
Here's the thing, to me, it really isn't like a Democrat versus Republican thing. I think for us to condemn what happened on January 6th, for us to say insurrectionist equal bad is something that regardless of your political party, we should do. But it just seems like the MAGA Republicans come up with the new conspiracy after new conspiracy. I mean, look, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, a lifelong.
Careful, don't say FBI in here. They'll start to think, oh, the FBI was in on it and all this stuff. It's crap, man. It's all crap. Did you see what in the hearing where Hunter Biden showed up? Jared Moskowitz gave he did a great he had a great moment where he brought forth all the subpoenas that were issued through Congress, that the Republican members, Mr. McCarthy, Jim Jordan, all the individuals who defied their subpoenas. And he said, you know what? If you vow to hold those individuals in contempt, I will absolutely vow to hold Hunter Biden in contempt, because no one is above the law. But right now, y'all are saying that only the people that the Republican Party subpoenas is worthy of prosecution. So it's like different rules for those set of individuals. And it's really unfortunate. Like, if Hunter Biden didn't show up, then sure, he needs to be held accountable. Hunter Biden broke the law. You see how she said in the clip with Elise Stefanik, when she said, the weaponization of the Justice Department. She didn't mention Hunter Biden because she agrees with, she wants that. But it's like rules for them and not for me kind of thing.
Well, and then they go and they say, well, Hunter Biden's, if you don't hold Hunter Biden in contempt, Merrick Garland, we're going to impeach you. That's their new line. Yeah. It's like the Department of Justice, when Donald Trump was in office, Hunter Biden was not indicted. Under President Biden, Hunter Biden's been indicted twice. Yep. And can potentially serve the rest of his life in prison based on the charges that he's charged with. Yeah. That frankly, no one similarly positioned who repays their taxes or who owned a firearm for a short period of time while under the influence would ever have been charged with in the first place. Yet Hunter Biden's potentially facing life in prison for that while President Biden is in office. And you never hear them articulate just kind of logic like that. Instead, what you hear them articulate, and this would be one of your other potential colleagues, Harriet Hageman, who replaced Liz Cheney. And by the way, Liz Cheney, someone who I probably disagree with on a policy positions a lot, but when it comes to law and order, I appreciate at the bare minimum, she says we need to preserve our democracy and Trump's a threat. But she got replaced by Harriet Hageman, and Harriet Hageman, in examining Christopher Wray, a Republican Trump appointed this guy. Yep. And they're all saying he's in on it, and it was actually a Fedsurrection. I'll just play you a portion of this because it just baffles my mind that this is the caliber of what a Republican is. It's just shocking to me. Here, play this clip.
Mr. Wray, from the Twitter files, Missouri versus Biden disclosures, the Durham investigation and report, and exposure and collapse of the Russian collusion hoax, the American people fully understand that there is a two-tier justice system that has been weaponized to persecute people based on their political beliefs, and that you have personally worked to weaponize the FBI against conservatives. I asked Mr. Durham about this, to which he answered, "I don't think that things can go too much further with the view that law enforcement, particularly the FBI or Department of Justice, runs a two-tiered system of justice. The nation can't stand under those circumstances." Director Wray, what are you prepared to do to reform federal law enforcement in a manner which earns back the trust of the American people?
Well, first off, I would disagree with your characterization of the FBI and certainly your description of my own approach. The idea that I'm biased against conservatives seems somewhat insane to me, given my own personal background. As to how we are approaching our work of protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution, it starts with me having emphasized to all of our folks over and over and over again in everything we do that we need to do the right thing in the right way, and that means following the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it.
Just law and order. I mean,
Simple.
law and order. Well, tell us though. You're running the Democratic Party. Of course, your background as a Capitol Police officer. Everyone knows about your heroism that day. Talk to us about why you're running, and tell us about some of the things that you want to deliver to the people in Maryland's 3rd and people across the nation.
Yeah, man. If January 6th didn't happen, you and I aren't sitting here having this conversation right now. I look forward to a full law enforcement career, being able to retire, not resign, be able to collect a pension, collect a retirement, and maybe consider public service in the form of public office. But January 6th did happen, and I saw firsthand how close we were to having the election, I don't know necessarily overturned, but the election not being certified for the first time in American history. And who knows what would have happened then. The January 6th committee, the investigation, exposed so many alternative plots that could have happened if not for the heroism of so many people that day, mainly the Capitol Police officers and the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department. They gave members of Congress on both sides of the aisle absolute security and protection. And I think that's why a lot of them on the other side, the MAGA side, not even the Republican side, the MAGA side, don't call it an insurrection, because I guess the officers did their job so well and none of them were hurt. But I don't think we have the luxury of standing back and waiting to see what will happen if another Trump presidency comes along. We need people that will stand up in Congress and fight back and push back and demand and fight for accountability, justice, and the preservation of democracy, which I believe that I've done that as much as I could in my role as a Capitol Police officer. But when Mr. Sarbanes announced that he was not seeking re-election, it created a real life opportunity. And, I believe in action. And I decided to jump into it because I believe I can offer so much, one, to the American people, to the body of Congress, and especially the people of Maryland's 3rd District. My values, my principles align mainly with democratic principles. I've been asked a lot, who would I want to model my career after in Congress? And respectfully, nobody. I just want to be myself. I don't want to mirror this person, that person. I am a public servant, and my job is to bring the issues of the people of Maryland's 3rd District to the floors of Congress, to give them a voice, to give them a platform, to make sure they are seen and heard. This has nothing to do with me and my agenda. Obviously, I am all for preserving and expanding voting rights, securing those for all individuals across the nation. The woman's right to choose. We need to codify Roe v. Wade into federal law. Common sense gun reform, especially as a law enforcement officer. I get it. The Second Amendment is it exists. It's not going away. We don't want to take people's guns, but I think we need a common sense approach on how we go about handling guns in this country. Lowering healthcare costs. Those are big issues that I am all on board with. But just making sure individuals, people want to feel stability and they want to feel secure. And right now, that's not happening in Congress. Look, to talk about stability, the Republican side couldn't even elect a speaker. How long were we without a Speaker of the House? Like, this is unheard of. We're living in unprecedented times, and it's not the Democratic Party. They're in a line. the Republican Party is hurting the American people, and the sense of stability and security is non-existent anymore.
Harry, if people want to learn more about you, learn about your background, is there a place they could go and check out?
Yeah, HarryDunnForCongress.com. HarryDunn, spell out for FOR, Congress.com. HarryDunnForCongress.com. And I can't wait to get out there and meet. I appreciate everybody calling me a hero and all those kind words, but I'm just standing up and doing what I think is right. And I just want to use myself to be a vessel, a public servant for the people one of this country, specifically Maryland's 3rd District. I'm just here to serve, and I think that's what gets lost in Congress right now. So many people are not focused on serving, but they're self-serving or serving the leader of their party, which is the former President Donald Trump. HarryDunn.com.
Harry Dunn running for Maryland's 3rd Congressional District. We will be following that race, and we appreciate your public service and, of course, everything you did on January 6th. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody make sure you hit subscribe right now as we approach 2 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.